The night the baby finally arrives is supposed to be the moment everyone remembers as beautiful and life-changing, and it absolutely is, just not in the calm, cinematic way people imagine. In the bunker universe, the miracle of birth comes packaged with confusion, bruised egos, petty distractions, and a level of waiting room tension that could set off a smoke alarm. Gloria is overdue, exhausted, and ready to be done with pregnancy yesterday. Mike is trying to be the supportive modern husband, armed with breathing techniques and a mental checklist like he's about to sit for a major exam. Archie keeps insisting he's not nervous, which in Archie language means he's extremely nervous and will express it by arguing with furniture, staff, and time itself. Edith, meanwhile, is radiating both joy and worry, the way only a mother can, half floating with excitement, half bracing for every possible catastrophe. The hospital experience begins with a form of chaos that feels almost insulting. Not medical chaos, but bureaucratic chaos. Edith arrives convinced they're going to be ushered straight into the right place, because in her mind, the universe should recognize this is her daughter having a baby, and therefore everything should run smoothly. But hospitals don't run on Edith's heart. They run on charts, names, room numbers, and staff who have seen 1,000 families say this is urgent in the same hour. A clerk can't find the right listing. A nurse asks questions in that calm, controlled tone that makes anxious people feel like they're being dismissed. Edith tries to keep polite, but her voice tightens. Archie stomps in and instantly adds fuel. He can't tolerate the idea that someone is delaying him from the main event. He starts acting like the hospital is personally disrespecting him, which is classic Archie, turning a system into a personal insult, because if it's personal, he can fight it. In the middle of this, something almost surreal happens. The waiting area becomes a stage for other people's drama, and it's the kind of detail that makes you realize life does not pause its petty arguments just because you're living one of your biggest moments. Two nurses, Dorothy and Bernice, are entangled in their own mess. Family tension, relationship tension, the sort of bickering that sounds small until you're trapped in it for a shift. Their sisterly conflict spills into the space where Edith and Archie are trying to focus on Gloria. It's like the universe is testing how much emotional noise one night can hold. Edith is trying to locate her daughter. Archie is trying to prove he's important. The nurses are tossing complaints around like they're passing a ball. And Gloria, the person actually doing the hardest thing, is upstairs dealing with pain and pressure and the unstoppable reality of labor. Eventually, the right information surfaces and the family gets pointed in the correct direction. Gloria is found. Mike is at her side, and the emotional tone shifts from "where is she?" to "this is actually happening." Gloria is pale and tired, but still sharp, still able to crack a joke in the middle of discomfort, because humor is one of the only ways to keep fear from swallowing you whole. Mike tries to be the coach again, reminding her how to breathe, how to pace herself, how to do what the class has taught them. Gloria appreciates the love behind it, but the stress of labor strips away tolerance for anything that feels like instruction. When you're the one doing the work, someone calmly telling you how to do the work can sound like a lecture, even when it's meant as support. Their relationship in this moment is real and messy. Tenderness wrapped around irritation, love wrapped around exhaustion. Both of them terrified in different ways and trying not to show it. Archie, stuck outside the delivery room, becomes the worst kind of waiting room animal, restless, loud, hungry, and offended by the concept of waiting itself. He paces. He complains. He talks as if he's the one under pressure, which is ridiculous, but also strangely human. Archie doesn't know how to be vulnerable in a clean way. If he admitted he was scared for Gloria, scared for the baby, scared because he loves them more than he wants to admit, he would feel weak. So he covers it with bluster. Edith sees right through him. She keeps trying to soften him, keep him grounded, keep him from spiraling into a full-scale hospital war. And in small moments, you can tell Archie is actually moved. He's just fighting it like a man wrestling with his own heart. Then the delivery intensifies, and the hospital room becomes its own universe. Time breaks into fragments, breathing, pushing, encouragement, pain, relief, more pushing, more fear than the sudden shift that happens when the baby arrives and the air changes. When their son is born, healthy and crying, it's like the whole story exhales. The fear doesn't vanish, but it transforms into awe. Gloria is drained but glowing in that exhausted, disbelieving way new mothers often are. Mike's face does that thing where pride and terror melt into something softer, something almost stunned. They did it. They survived the moment they'd been building up in their minds for months. When Archie and Edith learn the baby is here, they react exactly like them. Edith lights up immediately, emotional and grateful, like someone who's been waiting for this chapter her whole life. Archie tries to be Archie. He makes comments. He pretends he expected everything to work out perfectly. He tries to hold the moment at arm's length so it doesn't break him open. But you can feel it. The man is deeply moved. He's a grandfather now. The baby isn't an abstract idea anymore. He's real. He's here. And Archie's whole emotional structure has to make room for that fact whether he likes it or not. But the story doesn't stop at the hospital because the hospital is only the beginning. Once the baby comes home, reality shows up wearing pajamas and demanding things every 15 minutes. The civic apartment becomes a battlefield of sleep deprivation, feeding schedules, diapers, and the kind of exhaustion that makes small disagreements feel enormous. Joey is adorable, but Joey is relentless, and nobody is prepared for how relentless newborn truly is. Gloria is doing the heavy lifting physically and emotionally, her body still recovering while she tries to learn the baby's rhythm. Mike wants to be supportive, but his support sometimes arrives as decision-making. He wants to fix problems, to solve, to organize. That's how he loves. But after childbirth, after months of feeling like her body and her time are no longer her own, Gloria becomes sensitive to anything that feels like her voice is being pushed aside. That sensitivity turns into a bigger conflict when their friends Al and Trudy come into town to get married on New Year's Eve. It should be fun. It should be celebration. But celebration requires energy, and energy is a resource Mike and Gloria don't have. Still, they want to show up because they love their friends. The problem is childcare. A babysitter cancels at the last minute, and suddenly the entire night teeters. Mike's instinct kicks in, problem-solving mode. Instead of accepting they might miss the wedding, he decides to relocate it. He decides, boldly and impulsively, that the wedding can happen right in their apartment. In Mike's head, it's a heroic solution. Nobody misses anything. Everyone wins. The night is saved. In Gloria's head, it lands differently. Gloria hears it as the same pattern she's been struggling with. Mike making a major decision without fully including her, assuming she'll adapt because he believes he's doing something for everyone. The issue isn't the wedding itself. The issue is respect. Gloria wants partnership that's real. She wants decisions made together. She wants to feel like she still has control over her own home in a moment when so much already feels out of her control. She's exhausted, hormonal, and emotionally raw, but her point is sharp. Love doesn't give you permission to override the other person's agency. The apartment quickly turns into chaos anyway, because Al and Trudy arrive with full energy enthusiasm, treating the whole situation like a hilarious adventure. Guests flood in. Family members crowd the living room. The minister arrives. The baby exists in the center of all this like a tiny, fragile reminder that this is not a normal party house anymore. Gloria tries to manage everything while holding her own frustration in. Mike keeps moving fast, trying to organize, trying to be the host and the friend and the husband and the father all at once. The tension between Mike and Gloria simmers because they both care, and caring while exhausted is the perfect recipe for conflict. In the middle of the ceremony, Mike reads a quotation about marriage that hits harder than anyone expects. The words talk about being together but not consuming each other, about standing side by side as individuals. In a room full of wedding cheer, the quote lands like a quiet lesson aimed directly at Mike and Gloria's struggle. It's not that Mike doesn't love Gloria. He does. It's that love without listening becomes control, and control erodes the respect that marriage needs. Gloria, isn't demanding perfection. She's demanding recognition of her exhaustion, her role, her voice. When the wedding finally ends and people drift out, the apartment returns to its normal level of noise. Still loud, just fewer bodies. And just when you think the family might breathe, Archie's storyline swings back into focus with the kind of business opportunity that only Archie would treat like a golden ticket. A man shows up with a pitch, an invention that sounds convenient enough to hook Archie's imagination. It's basically a device that lets you ring a doorbell from your car, so you don't have to walk up to the door and risk standing in the rain if nobody is home. Archie hears this and sees himself as a visionary, a man ahead of his time, the kind of guy who invests early and becomes rich. He doesn't see risk. He sees a chance to prove he's smarter than everyone else. Edith sees the number attached to the proposal and feels her stomach drop. Archie wants to put real money into it, money they don't have to gamble. Edith asks practical questions that Archie hates because practical questions are the enemy of fantasy. Why isn't a bank funding this? Why are they asking Archie? What happens if it fails? Archie answers with confidence, which is another way of saying he answers with noise. He insists he should be able to decide. Edith pushes back gently but firmly because even Edith has limits, and she knows this is not the moment to set money on fire for Archie's ego. What ties these episodes together isn't just comedy. It's the theme of control. Who has it? Who loses it? Who fights for it? And who learns to share it? Gloria loses control of her body to pregnancy and labor and fights to reclaim her voice in marriage. Mike tries to control chaos with planning and quick decisions and learns that partnership requires slowing down and listening. Archie loses control in the hospital, loses control in the shift of becoming a grandfather, and tries to regain it through loud certainty and foolish investment dreams. Edith quietly becomes the stabilizer again, not by being passive, but by learning when to be strong. The baby's arrival doesn't fix the family. It exposes them, intensifies them, and forces everyone to evolve, even if they evolve kicking and complaining. And when it's all over, after the birth, after the wedding whirlwind, after Archie's latest scheme, the feeling that remains is the same familiar bunker truth. This family is imperfect, loud, exhausting, and somehow still held together by a kind of loyalty that refuses to die. They argue. They overreact. They make each other crazy. But when the big moments hit, they're still there in the same room, trying to love each other through the noise.